Hannah Murray on TRE in the afternoon.
And joining us on the line now is Rebecca Ginger, an award-winning TV producer and the founder and director of Fables World. Diagnosed with dyslexia at a young age, Rebecca has struggled with maths for as long as she can remember. She came up with Fables World after her own daughter was also struggling. It's a fun and revolutionary way to teach children maths. Welcome to the show, Rebecca.
Hi there. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. So can you tell us a little bit about your experiences then as you were younger and also as an adult?
I just remember school being slightly terrifying. I don't know if anyone remembers the teacher sort of calling out a multiplication sum and you not knowing the answers or desperately trying to calculate it with your fingers under the desk.
Yeah.
So that was me. I used to keep my head down back of the class. I think you're either the class clown or you were very quiet. I was trying to keep very, very quiet. I've made up for it since and talked a lot.
Oh, so were you finding that your daughter was having a similar kind of experiences then at school?
Yes. Weirdly, I sort of saw my mother's frustration because I always remember my mum being really frustrated with me going, why can't you just add two numbers together? Why can't you add 24 and 14 together? Or, even before that, sort of, just even counting numbers and things and trying to learn to tell the time, all of it. My mother used to get exasperated with me. And I found myself doing the same thing with my daughter, even though I sort of understood her problems. Trying to teach her to count. She would even do 1, 4, 7, 6, mummy.
Wow.
Anyway, and then it was a teacher who basically came to me and said she's never going to pass an exam in her life, let alone a maths exam. And that was when I went, okay, I've got to do something about this, and sort of remembered my own struggles and did a deep dive into the psychology of memory and how humans remember stuff. And we basically remember stories and funny instances. I always say, imagine you had two people, one came up, punched you on the nose, and one came up and gave you a bag of sweets. You're going to remember, even 5 years down the line, you might not remember their ages or their names or anything else, but you're going to remember who punched you and who gave you the bag of sweets. So it's kind of, that's what it's based on. It's funny, sort of memorable stories that ensure that the information goes into your long-term memory. Anyway, I can tell you what my daughter got at A-level maths in a moment if you want to know.
Oh, yes, go on, tell us. I was going to say it's quite a big and not very nice statement for her teacher to say to you she's never going to pass an exam in her life.
I think they were just terrified. I just think because she was dyslexic and dyscalculic, I think they were just, they just couldn't see sort of a way forward for her. But what we have registered in Oxford University have done studies on this is that when you improve somebody's maths, weirdly, there's a brain chemical that's only released when maths is done, which then helps with reasoning and problem solving. So when you do maths, you're actually growing your brain in reasoning and problem solving, which then helps all the other areas. So if you improve their maths, then it improves all their other subjects. And we have anecdotally seen this with thousands and thousands of children. We have a large, very respectable UK university about to do some studies on us because they also witnessed this with our technique for children who are dyslexic, dyscalculic, or everybody with special needs, basically. When you transform their maths, suddenly all their other subjects comes up and a lot of the behavioural issues calm down. So, yeah, they're just about to kick off a big study on us.
So how did your daughter do in the exams?
Well, she did, first of all, she did GCSE maths and she'd opted to do further maths. She got the top mark, like a 9 in those. And then she opted to do A-level maths and she got an A, 3 points off an A star on A-level maths with no extra tutoring, nothing else apart from her having the really solid foundations, which is what we gave her. And then she could understand what was happening in the class. And I think because of her sort of creative dyslexic brain, she was then able to solve those really complex problems that A-level maths presents.
Gosh, that's amazing. What an achievement. You must have been so proud of her.
Oh, I really was. I mean, she had to, you have to work hard to get those results. But but without the foundation, she was just struggling in every single direction. She couldn't even process what the teacher was saying because she was too busy trying to count 3 and 5 underneath the desk, or trying to teach her to learn to tell the time was impossible. Multiplications was impossible. So everything was just a sort of wall of impossibility until we sorted all of that out, and then she was able to understand. They think Einstein as well. His mother pulled him out of sort of school and taught him really the foundational skills, and then he went back in, and then obviously became Einstein.
Yeah. So tell us about these foundational skills then. Where did you start with your daughter and coming up with Fables World?
So I started with times table and division because she was in year 5 the time I was really high level. It was year 5 and 6, so they were sort of really relevant. So I didn't know them myself, so I couldn't test her. So I had to invent funny stories that would help her and me. And it worked like a charm. And then other parents went, how come she's gone from the bottom of the class to the top? And I said, well, I did this. And they said, well, can you help my child? And so then I just refined them and researched hundreds and if not thousands of children, literally offline bits of paper. And that's how we came up with it, just sort of a deep dive into the psychology of memory and then testing a lot to make sure it worked on every single child. And it's not just those who are dyslexic or dyscalculic. It literally works for everybody, but it particularly works really well for those children who don't like traditional maths. Anyway, so we solved her multiplication division. She was really great at those. But then I registered she's still counting under the table with her fingers because she couldn't add 2 numbers together. So then again, huge deep dive into how she would remember these. And again, it's funny stories. And each number is represented by a character. So number 7 is always a boomerang, even when you're adding or multiplying or whatever. And they've all got characters. The boomerang's always chopping something, and he's quite funny. He's Australian, funnily enough. And so they're all these 2 characters or 2 numbers interact, and they create an answer that's really, really easy for children to remember. So we sorted that out. Then we just did all her stress points, like let her tell the time. She couldn't learn to tell the time, and that was, exam questions and things. So we helped her with that. 24-hour clock again. She's counting on her fingers. Anyway, we solved that issue. Then fractions, she couldn't remember the rules. She had all the skills, but couldn't remember what rule went with which fractions. Anyway, we've solved algebra and things. I haven't released those, but we need some more investment money. Any millionaires out there?
It's amazing. I mean, she needed to surely learn how to remember things, teaching her the skills, but you have so much of it is just memory, isn't it? And remembering certain things.
Yes, that's why they're really hot on multiplication, division, and they call it number bonds, which is adding up to 10. It's mental arithmetic, really. What there is basically, if you don't, schools at the moment often do workarounds. So, for example, 7 times 8, they do 7 times 5 and then start adding on numbers, which is possible. And you can work out multiplications, but it takes up so much working memory that you can't then understand what the question is asking. And the person that has memorized it is instantly got the answer and then can understand and read and interpret the rest of the maths questions. So it's basically taking a brain load. It's sort of like you can have workarounds, but they clog up your sort of like memory on a computer. It's like just clogging everything up. So you can't actually solve the actual problem that you're being asked. So that's why we concentrate in these really foundational skills that just help children then flourish and understand what's really going on in maths lessons or with tutors or with whoever.
Yeah. So there's different aspects to Fables World, looking at different sections of maths, one of which is farting fractions.
It's all about the same bottom numbers being the same, in fractions, the denominator or the bottom number has to be the same, and then you can work with them anyway. It's a small Welsh grandpa who farts a lot. and also the children who come to us have so much anxiety already that it's very difficult. Like, if you've ever been anxious and then somebody's tried to solve an issue, it's very difficult to hear the information correctly. So we try and make them laugh. So then the barriers, those sort of anxiety barriers, come down, and then they can take in the information, and then they're sort of laughing all the way, and they're not really thinking about learning. They're just laughing, and then they sort of learn it accidentally along the way. So it's all meant to be really humorous, and the humor is there for a real scientific reason. It's not there just for sort of gratuitous laughing or whatever. It's really there to ensure that the anxiety just disappears, so they can actually learn.
It must make a huge difference. I mean, that's half the thing with learning. It has to be fun a lot of the time for kids. And you can say it about all kinds of subjects, history. If children are just copying dates from a board and don't understand, why do we need to learn about things that happened years before we were born? That it can be difficult to grasp unless it's made fun. And maths is definitely one of those subjects that children can find challenging and therefore boring. It has to be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why it's like even the children who are okay at maths, but they just find it so dull the way it's sort of presented at the moment that they can't even be bothered to sort of work on it or explore it. That's another reason, the humor really is there for a really, really important reason, is to keep them going. So, because you can do one thing, but then if you don't do the whole course, you won't understand all the information. So the humor is there to keep children laughing, coming back. And I've had so many parents going, the children that keep repeating all the stuff, and which is brilliant, which is what we want, because they're laughing at the dinner table and they're describing all the stories to the parents. And, we do free tutoring. So if anybody wants free tutoring, come on. We give you free tutoring. We show you all the techniques. And children are literally laughing, giggling in our lessons. And I've never, ever seen that with any subjects, let alone maths. Yeah. But, they're really giggling away for the whole hour and enjoying themselves. And we also use games to teach and things like that. But yeah, the cartoons are really funny.
Yeah, brilliant. And compared to the website currently used by most schools in the UK, the Fables World technique reduces learning time by 60%.
Yeah. So Chichester University, as I say, we've got an even bigger university, neuroscientists about to kick off a study on us, but Chichester University have already done a study on us, comparing us for 6 weeks to the one that is currently used in schools. And we're, say, 4 times faster in multiplications and 6 times faster for teaching division. And that's speed and long-term retention.
Yeah. And it's so important that school children grasp maths as early as possible, as young as possible, because it must just get harder the older they get.
Well, unfortunately, there's terrible statistics that are very difficult to find on the government website, but they're there and they present them slightly differently. But 47% of children failed or got the lowest possible grade at GCSE maths last year. And that has been going on for years and years. So that's 47%. That's nearly half the country are obviously not understanding how maths is currently taught. And I'm on a real mission to improve that. It shouldn't be that way. This statistics have been going on for years and years and years. It fluctuates between about 35 to 47%. So I just can't understand why teachers can't see the way that they're currently teaching maths is only being understood by half the class.
That's a real worry, isn't it? My goodness.
Yeah. And I think it's because I get it, because maths teachers, they go into it because it makes sense to them. And so they just teach the maths how they've always been taught maths. And so for half the class, that's brilliant. It works. They're understanding it. For the other half, they are just lost in a quagmire of non-understanding, which I have definitely been in. And as my daughter was also in. So That's my mission. I just desperately want to help children. And as I say, we give free online lessons. You just literally email a day and time that works for you, and we will find one of our specialist teachers. Normally tutors charge £65 a sort of week for this. I'm not saying tutors aren't great. They are. But without the foundational skills, that you're sort of like wasting your money, because we can literally teach 1 hour more than they can in about 3 months.
Wow, that's amazing. And there's even financial rewards and prizes and things available for the kids on the site.
Yeah, again, this was started because a lot of times children came to us. When they come to us, they've already had sort of 5 years of believing that they're rubbish at maths. So to get them started, and so parents don't have to nag them. I don't know if you've got children, but I've got 3 children, and trying to get them to do anything sort of homework related is tricky. So this is really to help the parents to go, look, you'll win a cuddly toy. We got this amazing sort of 100% recycled water bottle cuddly toys. They're absolutely gorgeous. Everyone's always amazed that we send these out. Anyway, but they're these cuddly toys, so that parents can go, look, if you carry on, it's 5 minutes a day. So it's literally 5 minutes of watching funny cartoons and answering a few questions a day. So we're not putting on a huge amount extra onto them. It can be done in the car. It can be done on the way to school. It can be done anywhere. And so we have these quests, and once they finish the quests, we give the money back. So we charge parents slightly more, but then we give money back once they finish the quest. And it sort of works for 2 ways. It keeps parents engaged. So, we can all buy websites, and spend money on stuff, but then we forget to use it. So this is slightly a reward for the parent as well. It's like, remind your children about the cuddly toys, and then we give you, they finish the quest and we give you the money back, and the children gets the cuddly toys. Or you can give the money to the child, whichever way parents, want to work it. But it works in twofold. It's to stop the parents having to nag the child, and it's also to stop the parent paying for something that's cheaper but they won't use, and so they see the results.
Yeah. Oh, it's a great idea. You must have had some incredible feedback since this was launched.
Yeah, you can look at our sort of hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of 5-star reviews on Trustpilot. Parents are just so pleased when they find us, and and we're in some schools, but teachers, anybody out there, we have incredibly cheap school packages because we're just here to try and help you. Please get in touch, and we come and do live lessons or Zoom lessons in schools as well.
It's great that you can be incorporated into schools. I didn't realise that. That's brilliant.
No, yeah, all schools totally welcome. Yeah, we're in loads of UK schools, but we not enough at the moment. So if there are any teachers out there, we will, as I say, we come and we give live lessons in your school, or we do it on Zoom, depending on where you are. And if you're in Europe, we also do that. But we got loads of European customers, because because they're in English, often parents like it because it teaches the children English as well as them doing maths. And because the children are laughing at the cartoons, it keeps them watching, and they see the cartoons sort of repeatedly. So it sort of repeats information in English. So you can learn English and learn maths all at the same time. Yeah.
And 5 minutes a day is just brilliant. I mean, that's seriously doable, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. We're, again, it's all it's all with my daughter in mind, and then all the hundreds of other children we've done. We don't want to stress them out. We want them to keep coming back every day. They don't have to do it every single day, but, parents don't want to pay for too long, so we'd rather they did it every day. We want them keeping coming back. So it's short, sharp and effective. Basically, that's our wish for education.
Yeah. And where did Fables World come from?
Well, Fables everything is taught with a story. All information before it was written down was all passed down with stories. That's why the Bible, the Quran, the whatever is all in stories, because it's how information is. Humans like remembering stories, or find it easier to remember information in stories. So everything is taught with a story in Fables World.
Yeah.
So that's why.
Great. Well, if people want more information, if they want to check out Fables World, just tell us the website.
Is fables.world. Very easy.
Fables.world. Great stuff. Thank you so much for joining us, Rebecca Ginger. Great to have you with us.
Thank you very much for having me. And do pass on anyone who's got maths issues. We will resolve them and make your children laugh.
Yeah, absolutely. Great stuff. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you. Thanks, Hannah. Bye.